Hello everyone, this is Calabash from Cold Tears, and I am here today to do a brief tutorial and demonstration on how Defile is used as of right now in patch 6.2. As of patch 6.2, Defile, at least for Unholy, is of somewhat mediocre use. It's neither the best talent nor the worst talent for any specific situation, so it's pretty much a trash talent and a mythics talent, and it's really rather good for heroics as well, because if you are going to be getting bosses at a rate that would prevent you from having Breath of Sindragosa up for every boss fight, it's my personal go-to. I like it for that because I don't have to worry about whether or not I've got my most powerful cooldown up when I actually need it. Defile is a little bit different than Death and Decay in that there is something that's not on the tooltip. Death and Decay has a starting radius of 10 meters. Defile has a starting radius of 8 meters, but it grows significantly bigger. As long as Defile has something that is within it, whenever it ticks, it grows every 1 second whenever it ticks, starting from the first time that it ticks to the last time that it ticks, and each time that it ticks, it increases in damage. I believe the total increase in damage is somewhere in the range of 25% over Death and Decay. This makes it a good target, or a good talent for bursting a large number of mobs down, especially when Defile has grown to its full size. It costs 1 Unholy Rune, 30-second cooldown. Every time it ticks, it hits something, and it updates dynamically. Like Necrotic Plague and Breath of Sindragosa, it does not snapshot your strength, mastery, crit, whatnot at the time of its casting. It updates dynamically. You can prove this for yourself if you have a Mage Tower in Warlords of Draenor. Go and use, or find somebody who has a Mage Tower. Just go and find. Actually, you can only do this if you have their Mage Tower. Just start finding the training dummies right next to the Mage Tower. Step into drop a Defile. Step into the crit rune, and watch your Defile jump up to 100% crit for the remainder of its duration. It's pretty much a stellar proof that it maintains it, or that it updates dynamically, and I've been convinced over the amount of tests that I've done that it does update dynamically. It's not really stated anywhere, but that said, it does require a bit of a unique talent setup. You have to use Plague Leech with Defile because Unholy Blight is functionally worthless. Plague Bearer is just a little bit worse. And you can use Runic Empowerment and Runic Corruption when you are using Defile, but I personally find it's much more useful to use Blood Tap, because Blood Tap has this nice little synergy with runes and Runic Power, where you can convert your runes to Runic Power as you can with the other two. The other two talent combinations convert runes to Runic Power. Runic Power is converted back into runes, and so on and so forth, with the management of the buff in Runic Corruption and hoping that you could get a good rune with Runic Empowerment. With Blood Tap, however, your Runic Power is converted directly into Blood Tap charges instead. When you Death Coil, you get Runic Blood Tap charges up to 12, and you can burn those Blood Tap charges to get your runes back. Since I primarily use this spec for AoEing trash down, it helps a lot to have those extra 2 Blood Tap charges available whenever I'm going into an AoE pack. I'll go through a demo later where I'll accumulate some Blood Tap charges and get Timmy up to empowered right before I actually go into an AoE phase. But it's nice to ratchet your DPS down when you don't need it, and ratchet it back up when you really, really do, because having an extra 2 blood or an extra 2 death runes available for the 10 seconds of AoE where there's 30 ads up, as opposed to the the 10 seconds of single target where there's 2 adds up for this spec, for this class, makes a significant difference. As far as the cons go, it doesn't actually really have a real niche. I kind of stated that before, but I really have to reiterate this again. Defile isn't really better than Breath of Sindragosa for single target, and it's not better than Necrotic Plague for AoE right now. Given specific talent gear setups that may occur in the future or in the past, that is not always the case. However, as of right now, it's just sort of a good all-arounder talent. Also, you're going to end up swapping out for Breath of Sindragosa and trinkets to maximize it a lot, as well as swapping trinkets and talents to maximize Necrotic Plague more than a little bit. So be prepared to check your glyphs and your talents after and before boss pulls if you are using this for trash. The only glyph that's really important for this is the Glyph of Blood Boil, because you're going to be blood boiling a lot. Unlike Necrotic Plague, your diseases aren't going to spread, and it's just useful. The basic priority is the same as the default Death Knight setup. Use Scourge Strike for single target, Blood Boil for AoE, Death Coil to convert your runic power into blood tap charges or directly into runes or runic corruption charges. Festering Strike to clear out. The difference between the use of Festering Strike in this and when you have Necrotic Plague up is that you're going to primarily be using Festering Strike to clear out the blood and frost runes for single target damage, and to convert the blood and frost, the frost runes specifically, into death runes for AoE. Because for AoE, for every death rune that you spend, you're going to get a death rune back. So all you really have to be concerned about is your unholy runes. For single target, you're going to constantly be converting these to death, using them for Scourge Strike or Soul Reaper if the target's below 45%, and then having them convert back to frost or blood. Otherwise, other than that, you're going to be popping Summon Gargoyle on cooldown. You're going to be using Plague Leech whenever you've got 2 unholy runes or 2 runes completely depleted. You'll be using Icebound Fortitude as always with defensive cooldowns. If you can AMS something, you don't usually run into a very you don't run into a deficit of runic power with this setup, so you're going to be much less reliant on AMS to get runic power to continue your rotation. However, that said, it does help. Icy Touch will allow you to instantly convert a frost rune to a death rune. So if you go into a AoE situation and you have an orphaned frost rune, you can feel free to use Icy Touch to convert it into a death rune. Also, if you have to be off target for any significant length of time, not DPS the boss, like say Iskar, Icy Touch does basically no damage. So if you've already got diseases up, just Icy Touch again. This goes the same with Necrotic Plague. It's not going to refresh Necrotic Plague. If you've got a 15 stack Necrotic Plague running and you Icy Touch it, it will do nothing aside for convert one of your frost runes to death rune and do like 1,000 damage. It's piddling. Occasionally something will be Dark Simmable for enough damage that it make it worth it. Generally, you're also going to want to take Gorfine's Grasp in a raid environment, and keep in mind too that your Dranic Strength potions can make or break AoE situations for the raid in mythic or progression environments. Don't feel shy about popping a Dranic Strength potion when somebody pops the ring and you have to defile, because you will notice a big difference, like in the range of like double to triple damage, especially when you've got the ring up. As far as the ring goes, the length of defile is going to be 10 seconds. The length of the ring is 15 seconds, so you generally want to pop defile after the ring is popped while your ghoul is empowered. Your ghoul is going to be empowered, as I've gone before, and if you're already familiar with the basic DK rotation, you're going to empower your ghoul with Shadow Infusion stacks. If you've got tier 18, it will take 3. If you don't, it'll take 5 death coils to get him empowered. You generally want to have your ghoul empowered before you actually go into an AoE situation. As far as applying it to the field, you generally want to have a 5-stack runic power or power ready to defile. You want to have a 5-stack of the ghoul empowerment ready for when defile goes down. Again, you don't want to have the ghoul empowerment fall off when your defile is going, but the damage that the ghoul empower from the tier 18 4-set gives is not enough to delay the cooldown significantly unless it's for ring. That said, that's pretty much all you need to care about for Defile in terms of trash pack rotation AoE, which is why I tend to favor it for trash. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to recover from. I'm going to go into the demo now in a second here and try to explain what's going on. Alright. Now, this is me starting out with a gargoyle. I apply diseases right after dropping a death and decay, or excuse me, on a defile right on the target, and then I'm going to continue going into a single target rotation. I'm going to be using Scourge or Death Runes for Scourge Strike, and I'm going to pay attention to make sure that I try not to overcap on runic power. Don't overcap on any particular runes. The runes themselves recharge in sets of 2 or 3 sets of 2, and you don't want to let any set get fully recharged. It's a little bit difficult to see in the default UI, but with the setup that I use, Compact Runes, it's a little bit clearer in this case. Like, I just accidentally let the middle set, the Frost Runes, fully recharge for just a second. Whenever you're right now, I have saved up a full set of 5 empowerment, a little bit 10 runic blood tap charges, and I'm going to start AoE. I pop the ring, pop the gargoyle, pop the ring, and then empower my ghoul so that I'm getting the most damage out of this. I am AoEing using and I managed to convert one of my unholy runes to death right up there. So I'm just using my unholy runes. I've got 5 out of my 6 runes converted fully to death. I'm using those for AoE, for Blood Boil. I tried to re-up my ghouls empowered as soon as I can without delaying Defile for too long, as long as I don't have to worry about the ring. In a little bit here, I'm going to pretend that the target on the left is getting within execute range, put a skull on his head, and then drop Soul Reaper occasionally on him. Now, if I were a little bit more adroit about this, I'd use a mouse over Soul Reaper macro, but I'm not currently using one of those. Again, I'm just making sure to try to pool runic power before my ghoul becomes fully de-empowered. Now it becomes de-empowered, I quickly Death Coil twice, or 3 times, to get him 5 stacks again, empower him, and he's ready to go within about 3 global cooldowns. Very effective for maintaining AoE. I'm going to be using Plague Leech every once in a while to get 2 runes back, and I don't necessarily always need to do that as long as I've got an available Death Rune for Blood Boil. So I'm just keeping my rotation going, dropping the occasional Soul Reaper on the ad on the left, and assuming that that's whenever an ad that I could DPS down comes up. The ring is going to be coming off cooldown here a little bit. I would have mistimed this if somebody else was popping the ring, because I wouldn't have Death and K up immediately, so it's entirely possible that I miss a large chunk of the ring's damage. I just pop my gargoyle again, pop the ring, drop Death and get Decay. Since I'm the only one doing this, I'm getting the most benefit out of it. I'm going to continue AoEing throughout my my ring proc, because I'm going to be getting the most damage from using Blood Boil on 3 targets over Scorch Strike. If it were 2 targets or less, I would be prioritizing Scorch Strike over Blood Boil. But since it's only just since that was only 3 targets, I was using Blood Boil rather than Scorch Strike. When you have 2 targets, you generally just use Blood Boil to keep diseases up rather than do damage. That said, everything that I talked about today was in the Arceus Son of a Lich guide, 6.2 Unholy DK guide. You can find that on sonofalich.com. Please look up the rotation, make sure you're familiar with it, and as always, sim out your own gear using Simcraft. The trinkets right now in the current tier that you would want to use for this talent combination are Empty Drinking Horn and Grondtooth Warhorn, and Discordant Chorus and Unending Hunger. I typically use Discordant Chorus and Unending Hunger. Feel free to try using the other ones and or whatever best trinkets you have. Again, sim it out yourself, and best of luck to you. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the video.